What you're about to understand has nothing to do with simple willpower, nor with faking a smile while everything inside crumbles. It's not about wearing a mask of forced positivity or trying to forcefully silence negative thoughts. The truth goes far beyond appearances. It lies at a deeper level in that inner terrain many avoid exploring, seeking quick fixes and external solutions that merely cover up the wound without healing its root. Perhaps you've wondered how some people remain serenely calm, almost unshakable, even amid chaos. They might be navigating loss, conflict, internal storms, yet they walk with a peace that seems otherworldly. Meanwhile, others feel everything collapse at the slightest setback. They panic, despair, lose control. Is this a matter of character, a privilege reserved for a few? Or is there a deeper principle distinguishing those who master their inner world from those dominated by it? If this resonates and you want to explore how to attain the inner peace many desire, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Only then can you begin transforming your reality by understanding what truly changes you from within. This is where many get confused. Most believe emotions are a direct consequence of external events, as if reality were an objective, unalterable truth. But it isn't. Everything you feel, every reaction, every thought is filtered through a lens you've built over your lifetime. It's as if you wear invisible glasses tinted by your beliefs, emotional wounds, and unresolved fears. What you see outside isn't the world as it is. It's a reflection of what you carry inside. When that filter is clouded by fear, resentment, or guilt, your perception distorts, and the entire world seems a constant threat. Not because it is, but because you're trapped in your interpretation of it. Here's the revelation that can change your life. It's not about becoming immune to pain or blocking difficult emotions. It's about changing the meaning you assign to them, learning to see every experience as a chance for transformation. When you choose to observe your emotions instead of fleeing them, using them as tools to understand yourself rather than judge yourself, a profound shift begins. It's not reality that defines you, it's how you interpret it. And that interpretation, believe it or not, can be transformed. You can rewrite the narrative you've told yourself for years. You can take control of your gaze, your perception, your inner world. Today, I'll show you exactly how to do this, not with empty phrases or magic formulas, but with principles used by those who've achieved such solid inner peace that nothing external could shake it. You'll discover how to turn fear into clarity, how to make your darkest emotions allies, and how to reach a serenity so authentic it remains steady even in life's hardest moments. What you're about to grasp could completely transform how you live, feel, and relate to yourself. But it requires courage, a willingness to look inward and question every belief you've carried as absolute truth. True emotional freedom doesn't come from controlling what happens, but from choosing how to experience it. When you discover this power, you realize nothing and no one can disturb your peace without your permission. Now, imagine living without those distorting glasses, without the weight of inherited judgments, repressed emotions clouding clarity, or fears sabotaging your well-being. Imagine living with the soul's eyes wide open, a mind free of burdens, and a heart at peace. The human mind is a universe of labyrinths where every emotion and reaction holds deeper meaning. It's time to illuminate those corners with the light of consciousness. Carl Jung, that tireless explorer of the human soul, understood with extraordinary clarity that the essence within us isn't always evident. For him, the mind wasn't a uniform, simple field, but a complex structure, like an iceberg floating silently in existence's ocean. The small visible part is our consciousness, thoughts we can name, decisions we believe we freely make, emotions we verbalize. But the truly profound lies submerged in the unconscious. Repressed memories, forgotten wounds that still ache, and insecurities silently shaping our choices. It's also where our projections germinate, distorted images we cast onto the world, mistaking them for reality when they're reflections of what we deny within. Jung summarized this powerfully. What you do not make conscious will manifest in your life as fate. Reflect. How often has fear infiltrated your life unnoticed? It doesn't always appear as obvious panic. Often it disguises itself as doubt questioning your worth, talent, or voice. As procrastination delaying projects you're passionate about due to fear of failure, or in relationships where you shrink, adapt, or abandon authenticity to avoid abandonment or loneliness. Jung invited us to see fear not as an enemy to defeat, but as an unheeded teacher. Every uncomfortable emotion holds a message, a guide to parts of us needing to be seen, embraced, and transformed. Yet most people fight their emotions, silencing them with phrases like, "I shouldn't feel this way," "I must be strong," "I don't have time for this." This creates true conflict. What we forcefully deny doesn't disappear. It lingers, grows in shadows, becoming a silent burden, accumulating tension, somatized pain, or invisible walls, blocking progress. Think of a raging storm, dark skies, howling wind, violent rain. Imagine trying to stop it with your hands, pushing the wind, covering the sky. What would you achieve? Exhaustion. Storms don't dissipate through resistance, but through presence. When you stop fighting and simply move through them, you discover no storm lasts forever. Your emotions work the same way. They're not enemies or mistakes, but natural internal processes, showing you what needs attention, blocking them. With constant distractions, overwork, endless entertainment, or superficial connections, only postpones confronting yourself. The longer you delay, the more unresolved issues accumulate, becoming background noise conditioning everything you do. Now imagine, what if, instead of resisting what you feel, you chose to listen? What would change if you sat before your inner world like facing a truthful mirror? True emotional freedom begins here, not in control, but in understanding. If, instead of fleeing your feelings, you paused, stopped running, and started observing, not through judgment but presence, you'd realize every emotion, even uncomfortable ones, arrives purposefully. Each carries a message, a key to parts of yourself you didn't know existed. Sadness, for example, isn't an enemy to avoid, but a delicate messenger indicating something needs release, a relationship that's run its course, a version of yourself no longer aligned with your purpose or unmet expectations. Crying over loss isn't weakness, it's wisdom recognizing when it's time to let go. Fear doesn't paralyze you, though it might. It reveals deep-seated beliefs from childhood, that you're not capable enough, don't deserve your desires, or that mistakes are intolerable dangers. These aren't absolute truths, but old narratives you can question, dismantle, and rewrite. Anger, often silenced, isn't violence. It's a bell ringing loudly when your boundaries are ignored, when you suppress expression, or when authenticity is stifled to fit outdated molds. When you start observing emotions as allies, guiding lights in darkness, something reconfigures within. Life stops being about controlling externals to feel good and becomes about refining your ability to interpret, realizing the world doesn't conform to your emotions, but your emotions can teach you how to relate to the world. Now, recall a concrete scene from your life, a fight with a loved one, a workplace misunderstanding, a moment you felt hurt, attacked, or judged. How do you normally react? Impulsively, defensively, automatically. What if, instead of reacting, you paused, breathed deeply, observed the scene like a spectator in a theater's back row, emotionally detached, then ask, which part of me is reacting now? Is it truly the external situation upsetting me, or an old internal wound this scene touched? This simple reflective practice can transform your experience. When you realize nothing external can deeply affect you without your permission, you grasp something immense. True power lies not in controlling the world, but in knowing yourself. Jung spoke of an inner instance he called the silent observer, that serene part remaining calm amid chaos, untethered by emotion or judgment, observing clearly without being trapped in reaction. Connecting with this inner core, cultivating inner stillness, lets you live any experience without losing your center. Nothing and no one can break you unless you surrender power. Each destabilizing moment isn't an external sentence but an opportunity, a sign something within needs understanding, healing, or embracing. In this understanding lies the key to unshakable peace, not because everything outside is perfect, but because you've learned to be whole within. When this happens, the world changes with you. Storms no longer seem threatening when you realize they come not to destroy, but to awaken. Intense emotions and darkness become invitations to look inward. What you once avoided becomes transformation's opportunity. You no longer run from feelings, knowing calm comes not from avoiding storms, but traversing them consciously. If you examine recurring thoughts, I'm not enough, I'm unprepared, I don't deserve, you'll discover something surprising. They're not yours. They weren't born with you. They were planted in your past by authority figures, painful experiences, or unexamined social expectations. Without realizing, these thoughts became truths carried like second skin. Here's the powerful truth. You're not obligated to keep believing them. Right now, you can begin writing a new story. Imagine replacing mental limitations with affirmations of internal power, recognizing you've always had the capacity. Only the narrative you learned held you back. Changing that story changes your life. Jung revealed something essential. The unconscious doesn't distinguish between external events and internal imagination. What you feed with thoughts becomes your psychic reality. If that inner reality is marked by insecurity, fear, or self-judgment, the world mirrors that script. But if you nurture your mind with empowering beliefs, that inner strength eventually manifests externally. Take someone who's lived with persistent feelings of being unloved. Perhaps childhood taught them to earn affection through sacrifice, people-pleasing, and neglecting their needs. As an adult, they're trapped in this programming, feeling never enough, always needing to strive harder. Breaking this cycle starts with seeing the pattern. Jung spoke of integrating the shadow, making the unconscious conscious. When this person recognizes they've lived conditioned by abandonment fear, something shifts. They realize their worth isn't tied to others' opinions, but to self-perception. They learn to say no, guilt-free, set healthy boundaries, and stop seeking validation at any cost. Authenticity becomes their core, dissolving emotional dependency. Another example. Someone fearing failure punishes themselves with thoughts of worthlessness after setbacks. But reframing failure as a natural part of growth liberates them. Jung said life doesn't happen to you, it flows through you. Understanding this stops resistance to unmet expectations and starts learning from stumbles. True growth isn't measured in visible successes, but in inner evolution each attempt generates. Most don't realize every thought is a seed. Watering seeds of doubt, fear, or resentment creates a forest limiting your vision. Consciously planting seeds of trust, self-love, and serenity changes your landscape. This isn't metaphor, it's daily practice. Next time a limiting thought arises, don't embrace it as truth. Pause. Observe it like a passing cloud. Ask, where did this come from? Is it mine or someone else's voice? Is it my essence or an ancient echo? Questioning thoughts breaks invisible chains. You realize thoughts only hold power you give them. How you see the world shapes the world you see. Someone viewing life as obstacles and misfortunes will find confirmation everywhere. But choosing to see it as a stage for growth, a dance of lessons and challenges revealing your true self, brings depth and peace once deemed impossible. Jung said, "What you resist persists." This applies to emotions and mental patterns. The more you fight life, the more you clash with fears. Flowing, embracing change, and seeing every experience as evolutionary dissolves tension. You're no longer at war with yourself. Imagine living without fear of failure. It doesn't define you. Others' judgment, you no longer see yourself through their eyes. Or the future, you trust your adaptability. This is true freedom, not dependent on externals but born from within, a re-educated mind, a reconnected soul. Freeing yourself from mental prisons means no one can imprison you again. Peace isn't outer silence but inner serenity, waiting since always for you to look inward with compassion and courage. Unfaced shadows speak from the depths, as unexplained anxiety, repeated arguments, or decisions leading to the same abyss. Confronting what you've hidden under fear and denial reveals not a monster, but a wounded part craving understanding. That fear you've carried of inadequacy, failure, rejection, isn't a curse but a door. Crossing it reveals who you truly are beyond wounds. Pain persists, not just from past events but from stories you've retold. Betrayal, injustice, abandonment were real, but enduring suffering is what you fed by resisting release. Choosing to see it differently transforms you. Resentment fades not by justification, but because you no longer cling to it for protection. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life." and you will call it fate. Unresolved pain, unembraced fear, unacknowledged rage repeat as unconscious patterns. Life isn't punishing you. Your shadow seeks attention. Every emotion is a chance to return to yourself. Bravely seeing what others deny. Relating to yourself with consciousness. Offering understanding instead of demanding perfection. Learning instead of judging. Embracing fear like a tender inner child. Transforms you. Change happens not when you alter the world, but when you shift self-talk, interpretations, and responses. You don't need all answers, just willingness to look inward. Observing without judgment heals. Relationships become genuine without masks. Decisions align with integrity, not fear. Your path clarifies as you walk beside yourself, not running away. You're no longer your past's prisoner or emotions' victim. You're conscious, awakening, integrating. True freedom begins here. An identity built from unprocessed experiences. Ancient wounds disguised as strength or indifference hides beneath painful thoughts and emotions. Behind them, a voice wants to be heard, not to condemn, but to liberate. You don't have to remain the version that survived by silencing feelings. You can choose. Now to become someone defined not by pain, but by transforming it. Jung said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Facing what you've long avoided does this. If this message resonates, share your experience in comments. Imagine emotional exhaustion, not as an enemy, but a soul calling to return to yourself. Postponing healing burdens, body, mind, and heart. Breaking the cycle realigns everything, not magically changing circumstances, but changing you. You no longer need external approval for worth, mistakes to feel worthy, or hiding emotions to seem strong. Vulnerability becomes profound courage. One day, you wake different. Not because everything's perfect, but because you're defined not by lack, but by inner resilience, self-love, and awareness. This is living with an awakened soul, navigating the world from your center. Stopping autopilot and observing yourself with brutal honesty transforms your world. You no longer react from wounds or blind impulses. Emotions become sacred mirrors showing what needs healing. You're no longer a puppet of past cycles, but a conscious seeker of inner truth. Hurtful words lose weight because you've learned to listen to yourself first. Others' actions affect you only through the stories you've woven. This discovery is powerful. Within you lies the power to rewrite experiences' meanings. Conflicts become calls, intense emotions divine signals guiding self-understanding. Instead of blaming externally, you courageously look inward with responsibility and compassion. This is soul alchemy, turning pain into consciousness. You become calmer, more compassionate with yourself and others. You express instead of yell, inhabit instead of flee, choose from fullness instead of react from lack. You don't need control to feel safe. You trust your ability to weather storms. Emotional maturity is true freedom, conquered within by embracing all you find, even what you've sworn to hide. This fragment reflects transitioning from victim to empowered being, central to Jung's work. Peace isn't found externally, but cultivated internally. Jung's individuation, a journey to authenticity free from childhood conditioning, happens when you don't let circumstances or people disrupt your center. The world stops being hostile as you integrate inner power. Prioritize well-being guilt-free, letting surroundings align with your new perspective. Listen to your inner voice in a world dictating who to be. Each time you repressed emotions or acted to fit expectations, you surrendered inner peace. Liberation comes returning to your truth. Building peace, nothing can steal. Internal silence disconnects from external expectations. Jung understood the mind's constant noise, unquestioned internal dialogue. Daily stillness without distractions connects you deeply. Hurtful comments become manageable with clarity. Detachment arises not from apathy, but understanding others' words reflect them, not you. Observing instead of reacting lightens emotional burdens. Emotions, like ocean waves, are intense but transient. True peace isn't eliminating pain, but not being trapped by it. Observing emotions without judgment reclaims control. They're temporary visitors, not permanent definitions. Question beliefs that life happens to you, emotions are uncontrollable, or externals dictate emotional states. Suffering needn't be your norm. Live without needing others' validation. fearing judgment, or tying worth to opinions. Criticism, rejection, and intense emotions lose power when you change responses. True freedom is choosing interpretations and releasing control. Trusting adaptability and inner strength steers life. Imagine no negative comment affecting you deeply, seeing them as reflections of others' inner worlds. Rejection becomes a better path discovery. Fear and anxiety signal growth, not chains. Jung noted, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to self-understanding. Suffering, conflict, and pain can be doors to self-knowledge. Difficulties become transformation opportunities, revealing limiting beliefs and strengths." The key question: will you shed the victim narrative and become your life's creator? Interpreting the world through fear, frustration, and insecurity attracts reinforcing experiences. Choosing to reframe experiences changes everything. Challenges remain, but their impact lessens. Emotions arise, but you'll have tools. Others' words persist, but won't define you. Realizing nothing affects you without permission brings freedom. All transformation resources lie within. Decide the past holds no power. External validation isn't required, and control isn't needed for peace. True strength is feeling emotions without being dominated. Start now. Treat yourself with deserved respect and attention. The world mirrors this. Relationships draining you lose influence as you set self-respect standards. People respect or leave. Stop expecting others to provide happiness you haven't found within. Relationships thrive when two whole beings meet. Self-love isn't needing others to fill voids, but creating connections reflecting your inner cultivation. Every difficult relationship teaches something: setting boundaries, self-trust, or that true love isn't struggle. Life isn't avoiding suffering, but finding meaning. Challenges are seeds, chaotic at first, but blooming beautifully. No one will save you. Only you can face voids, learn, and build inner strength. No one does your inner work. But no matter past falls, you can restart daily. The sun doesn't lament night, it shines anew. You can too. Will you wait for life to change or transform your perspective? If you've lost yourself, given too much, or have unliberated parts, comment with one word describing your current feeling. The first step is acknowledgement. Many discover this truth after hitting rock bottom. In total darkness, they find light was always within. Imagine losing everything: business, betrayal, illness. Initially fighting reality, blaming circumstances, fate, or self. But when suffering peaks, surrender, not to life but to releasing control, brings unknown peace. Years of anxiety reveal control isn't secret. It's trusting adaptability. Losing everything offers reinvention. Betrayal reveals self-love's importance. Jung emphasized shadow integration, accepting rejected parts. Seeking external validation never satisfies, only self-acceptance does. You no longer need others' approval. Understanding your worth is self-defined. Freedom arrives unimaginably. Transformation isn't overnight, a painful process of revelations paving a new path. Each step toward self-knowledge, facing shadows, brings closer to authenticity. At clarity, the outer world shifts. Problems shrink not because the world changes, but because you do. Recall moments you felt overwhelmed, trapped, yet here you are, survived. Each fall was a step in evolution. Every wound a teacher, every conquered fear a strength glimpse. Now what will you do? Life isn't just understanding concepts, but applying them. Stay trapped in old patterns or decide to change. If this resonates, like and subscribe, or take a step. Trust yourself, overcome anything. Immerse in the present, finding growth opportunities. Maybe life awaited this realization. Everything you've lived is part of a grand plan, awakening your most powerful self. So what will you do? See life as happening to you or created by you. Wait for change or transform within? The answer's always been within. Start now.